should be now. Okay, cool. So hopefully you guys heard that. If not, again, I'm Jason Edwards, and I have my incredible guest, Candi Silvestri, in the house today, talking about a lot of different things. But I want to start with, first of all, making sure that you guys can hear us and everything. So please share the stream. If you have questions for Candi, be sure to let us know about those in the comments, and I'll be checking back in with you guys shortly. But, Candi, let me just ask you, because I like to ask everybody kind of where you got started. So, where were you born, first of all?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Born in Atlanta, okay.
Yeah.
And did you always want to be an actress? Like, did you always have that bug? Did you work in doing plays and things like that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think it's one of the few things I've known my entire life that I wanted to do and be a part of. I started traditionally as a dancer.
Okay.
Around 3, my mom put me in like dance and soccer and other various things, and dance was definitely the most exciting for me, just being on stage and expressing myself artistically in that way.
Right.
And then I danced with a dance company until high school. I auditioned for a performing arts high school in Georgia called Pebblebrook, Cobb County Center of Excellence in Performing Arts.
What?
And it's you know, kind of a running joke, but it's a star maker, man. It's like the Fame high school, you know. So
yeah.
it's a really great program. It's audition only, and
okay.
I went there for 4 years, and then I started studying acting there, and then I went to Brunel University, which is in Georgia also.
Okay.
Excuse me. And I got a 4-year BFA in musical theater.
Wow.
And Gainesville Theater Alliance was my house there for theater, and it was an amazing program run by Jim and Gay Hammond.
Nice. And so, growing up, were other people supportive of that, or were you kind of like just pursuing it on your own and not really getting the support from others? Or
it's funny. I think my mom has always been incredibly supportive. And in the performing arts high school, I had a lot of friends who did what I did. And it was very apparent upon graduation that several people went and followed their path. A lot of people went to New York, naturally, because we studied theater and there was a big dance program. And then a lot of people just started doing like what I call normal jobs, real jobs. I don't know. Real jobs. You know, military and, you know, administrative type work, office style stuff, all the things that I tried. And I remember leaving a job once, and I told my manager at the time, I said, I keep a pair of tap shoes underneath my desk at all times. And he was like, why? And I was like, because when you leave the office, I get on top of my desk. That's a true story. Because I was just always hungry for something different and for something more. And I knew that I had creativity inside me that I just wasn't fulfilled in doing business development, marketing, and that sort of thing. I have so much respect for people who can live with that stability, but it just was never for me.
Yeah. And then how do you get from Atlanta to New Orleans, where we are now?
Oh, so funny. So I was dancing and singing as the lead female in an amazing production called Spirit, the Seventh Fire. It was an all-Native American cast tour, written, produced by Peter Buffett. Incredible project. And so I got to travel and teach people about my culture and dance and sing, which I loved. And we went on a holiday. And I came to Louisiana to visit family, and then I went to LA and visited friends, and New York visited friends. I went and saw my sister, and so I was just like hopping all over. And long story short, we lost funding, and so my tour never went back out.
Okay.
And I sort of never left Louisiana. I just kind of fell in love with the city and fell in love with New Orleans, and it was at that time that I thought, well, maybe I'll transition into film and television and see what that's about. And that's, you know, late 20s, when I discovered what I really loved. All the things that I had been doing to sort of get to that point, to really discover that, oh, this is where I want to live.
And then tell me about your first times, like auditioning and coming on a set after doing more live performance.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I was terrible. I was bad. I was very bad. To all the casting directors that auditioned me early on, thank you for giving me a second chance.
Yeah.
I was very big personality, very big voice, very big performance style, and I hadn't started training yet in film and television. So I was taking all my training and sort of bringing it to the camera.
Yeah. Showing them what you can do. Tap dancing all the way.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And that was at a time when taped auditions weren't as popular or as big a deal. And so I didn't have the technology or even the know-how to sort of tape myself before I went in to see what I was giving them. Right. And so I'd walk out and be like, man, I just don't get it, you know?
I gave them everything.
I gave them everything. I left it on the stage, you know? And then years later, of course, looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, there was a transition period that I needed to go through. And the city itself was kind to me in that regard, but I definitely went years with very few auditions, very few bookings, very few callbacks. And I sort of, I don't know, everybody's path is different, but I sort of started as a background extra, and then that transitioned into some stand-in work, photo double, body double, that sort of thing. And I learned so much as a stand-in, being on set, the terminology, the vernacular of this world, you know, just learning the language and knowing what it means when they say checking the gate. Like, that's Greek to a lot of people.
Yeah, I find that's a common path for a lot of my friends that have now, like, started working more speaking roles and things like that, as they've started a background. I did myself, and then a little bit of stand-in stuff. And I think stand-in work, for those of you who aren't actors, you're basically standing in for the actor that's going to be performing the role, but you're letting them do the lighting and getting in position and maybe even doing the action so that camera can practice their movements before the actual principal actor will step in. And you basically do everything that actor would do other than the actual performance that's seen on camera. So you learn a lot. You learn, like you said, all the moving parts that happen to make that work, and the work ethic and the long hours and those types of things too.
Well, and for me too, one of the best parts about that time in my life, because I did that professionally for about 3 years. I was just a stand-in. I mean, I was still auditioning, but because it was a transition in my life, I wasn't booking a lot. So I was primarily a stand-in, and one of the best things I took from that time, like you said, the work ethic, but also I created great relationships with the majority of my crew. So now it's such a blessing. Every time I'm on set, I'm just like, what's up, what's up, what's up? You know, like, I just know people.
It makes you feel comfortable.
It makes you feel comfortable. It puts you at ease. You know, on some of the bigger projects that I've been on, they bring in a lot of crew from Los Angeles, but there's still always going to be local crew. Yeah. And so it's so comforting, and such a little family reunion to run into the people that you know and respect and love so much, and you're like, oh, you're still working, and I'm still working, and it's like, you know, high five moments.
Right. We didn't give up. We're in there. Cool. And then part of that, when you started working not only as a principal actor, but you started working in casting too.
Yeah.
How did that transition happen, or what made that something you wanted to pursue?
Yeah. So in addition to the stand-in work, I was working at a restaurant, and it was the death of me. It was a lot. Food industry people, God bless you. I worked at a lot of restaurants, and this happened to be a very fancy fine dining place. But it was like killing me. It was just killing me physically. It was killing my creative spirit. I was working to survive, and so it wasn't allowing a lot of time to study and to train and to audition. And so I had to talk with my mom, and we were sort of goal setting for the next year.
That's cool.
And I was like, what? You know, like, I just want to improve the quality of my life. Yeah. So, like, what can I do? And she said, I'm going to remind you of something that you probably don't want to hear. And I was like, okay. And my mom's good at that. My mom's good at, you know, playing devil's advocate and just keeping it real and just saying, like, you know, is this the best thing for you? And so she said, you know, I asked you once when you graduated college, if you don't continue to be an actor, what will you do? She said, and you got very defensive, and you rattled off like 30 different things that you could do to make the college program that I went to required that we also study in technical theater as well. So I ran lights for a show. I designed a lighting cue. I built wigs and costumes and painted stays. I was paints charged for a show. So we had to learn how to do everything, run the stage and run the backstage area as well as be on stage. And so I started running down all this list of things that I could have done. And she was like, so why aren't you doing any of those things? And I was like, ouch. Wow. Okay, so it was a wake-up call for me. And so I sort of created an email, and I sent it to all the sort of movers and shakers that I thought were doing things in town, and basically said, like, because at this point I had worked with several attorneys, so I was very well versed in non-disclosure agreements and the secrecy behind the sort of contracts in the business, and I had just done all these various jobs trying to make it right. And so I sent out this email, and it's like, I have this incredible skill set, and I don't know if any of you can use it, but this is what I'm looking for. And long story short, I ended up, it took about a month. Liz Coulon of Coulon Casting, who's amazing, incredible. She's hands down my best friend in the city. And she at the time went on a yearly snowboarding trip. So she was like way out in Telluride, Colorado. Like email access was not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just didn't have access to it.
Yeah, it was like she had to go to the bottom of the mountain to get it. You know what I mean? So I had sent the message to her, and it took about a month because she was gone for almost a month. It took about a month for her to get back to me. And when she did, she was like, I'm good. I don't really need anyone right now. And I was like, so disappointed because I just was so amped up about the opportunity to work with her. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, please keep me in mind if you do need anything. And then not even a week later, she was like, you know what? I'm about to start a project. I could use you as a reader if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, of course. So I told my fancy fine dining job, I said, I need a month off. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And why? And I said, I have an opportunity that I can't pass up, and I don't know what's going to come of it. And he was like, you need to just turn in your uniform.
Yeah, they're like, you can take more than a month.
Yeah,
you'll be okay.
You know what? We'll give you as much time as you need.
Yeah.
And so I did. I turned in my uniform and totally just, took a big step of faith. And when I look back at my timeline, that's definitely where I've been successful, is just taking huge leaps of faith and it working out. And I did. I took a huge leap of faith. I went in as a reader for like a 2-week sort of trial period. Yeah. And 7 years later, I retired. Like, we just never looked back. We worked incredibly well together. There were times that we were a 2-man team, and there were times that we were, able to take on other help and build a bigger team if we were doing multiple projects. But I learned invaluable information being behind the camera. It was like an acting class every day when we were in audition sessions, being a reader, working with producers and directors. The downside was I couldn't audition for anything that we were casting.
And I'm sure there's times where you're like,
I was like,
yeah.
It'd be great for that role.
I'll take a 2-week hiatus.
But at the same time, I have so much respect for Liz for sticking by her guns on that, because it puts so much value in the roles that I did get cast in, because it wasn't like, she's the casting director's assistant. Right. It never. Liz was very conscious of that, and very up on the rules for SAG and the penalties that could have happened were something like that to go down. So, and I have so much respect for her for that, because it helped me grow and sort of earn my keep as well.
And so being on that side of the room and being a reader, that's something I wanted to spend a good portion of time on, not only your business, and we'll get to that in a second, but the things you learned in the casting room initially, watching other actors, like their level of preparedness or those types of things. So can you talk a little bit about what you saw, good and bad?
Oh, yeah. It's so eye-opening to be on the other side of, watching the actor. It's really, really neat to engage with another actor, because there were moments in that room where it was just an audition and it felt like a scene study, because I just engaged with another actor. And I can't tell you the countless times, and I'm so humbled, but the countless times that actors have pulled me aside and been like, thank you. Thank you for being a great reader. Thank you for giving me something. Thank you for going there with me. Because for me, it was also an opportunity to act, you know? So, there are multiple auditions where I'm behind the camera. No one can see me except the other actor, and I'm crying with them, just because it was a great experiment for me to work with them. And gosh, and I would ask people, I'm like, are you a sympathetic crier? Because I know, if I see someone else crying, it makes me want to cry. So how can I help you? Because that was always my goal. How can I make your audition better? How can we make you stand out? Because I think a common misconception, people get so nervous, going into the casting session, and so a common misconception is what's happening in there when we aren't in there, the actors. And the truth is, we want you to succeed. We want you to win. We want you to be amazing. You make our job easy, right? So if you come in and bomb, it's like, all right, cool, back to the drawing board.
Right.
We're only celebrating the win. You know what I mean? And something that I can say, working with Liz too so closely, is that I feel like she really fights for the actor. She gives actors an opportunity to do multiple takes if it's needed, or if she's just having a great time enjoying your performance, she's like, let's try something else. Ryan Glorioso, who I also work closely with, on occasion. I would help out in his room on occasion, or help with a commercial session or something. Same with him. He's just very giving, and that's not to say other casting directors are not. I've had great experiences with the majority of the casting directors in town as an actor, but working on the other side of it as a casting associate, which I think was your question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think all that's valid.
I think preparedness is paramount. That was a fun little alliteration. Preparedness is paramount.
Yes.
And by
that's
that,
your new book.
Yeah, and the working title. And by that, what I mean is the sooner we, the actor, can get our head out of the dialogue and get our head out of the paper and get our eyes off the page, the easier it is to breathe, to listen, which was what I always impress upon people, my students, and the people that I coach. I always say, your number one job is to listen. Your number two job is to tell the story. And so that means without judgment. Like, you can't make fun of your character. You are your character, right? And so I think the people that came in who were ready to play, that's a James Dumont quote. Thanks, James. Ready to play. And that means you do the homework before you get out there, right? You do the homework, you do the work, you're prepared, so that when you get in there, you can live in that space, be in that moment, be present, truly listening, and also be available to change things up. As a reader, I would always ensure that I followed the actor. If they went up on a line or they skipped an area, I would always just follow them.
Right.
Either try to get them back on track or just go wherever they're going. And if that means we skip a whole page of dialogue, we just...
you don't just go, nope, that wasn't
missed
good.
it. No, he messed up. I'm going to cut that. He, no. I would never...
Sure.
I've been in auditions where a reader has thrown me under the bus.
Yeah.
I have been. This was years ago. I don't even remember who the reader is. You know who you are. You're out there somewhere. Rude. But the preparedness is the biggest thing I learned. Seeing people on the other side being prepared. Also, the biggest thing I learned on the other side of things is making it yours.
Mm-hmm.
Making it yours. And what I mean by that, obviously, we're in no position as actors to rewrite the script, can't change the intention of the scene. I mean, a team of people have labored over this for hours to create it, whether you love it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's not our job to recreate it. And if you feel that strongly about it, then I would encourage you to start creating original content, because that's a huge avenue for a lot of people,
Sure.
right? And so use that talent there. However, in the room, I'm not so big a stickler for the words, in terms of verbatim, word perfect. I agree that you can't change the intention, you can't change the story, that sort of thing. I think it's absolutely unnecessary to add a bunch of F-bombs. That's a thing that actors do all the time. And it's kind of like yelling. Yelling doesn't mean you're angry, it's just a volume, and I feel like F-bombs are the same way. F-bombs don't make the point, they just add a curse word. And some writers are very put off by that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Especially if that's not the tone of the show. And
Exactly.
this is for Disney. This
is a Disney pilot,
Yeah.
sir. This is an ABC Family Movie of the Week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna drop the F-bomb. But that, in my mind, goes hand in hand with the preparedness too. I'm not one of those crazy people that gets on IMDb and details out every producer, director, and writer that's on a project. I see the value in that, but I know about myself. I'll maybe get in my head and make myself a little nervous if I do that. However, I do know that if it's an existing show, I need to go watch a little bit of the show and know what the tone is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can you imagine auditioning for Waiting for Guffman and not knowing what the comedic timing on a project like that was? You know what I mean?
Sure.
You'd feel so silly, or maybe not even understand what's written for you. So I think preparedness is key. Research, preparedness, definitely. But in the same breath, with an element of flexibility, because we're likely going to give you an edit or a redirect or a change, or the ability to improv, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
So be prepared, but don't be married to the choices you've made.
And being on that side and then seeing who ultimately gets the role, is there anything that stands out for those people in the sense that they did something that was totally different than everybody else in the room, or you just knew? Was there something that distinguishes who gets the role and who doesn't based on all the reads you saw that didn't get the role, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It's probably a case-by-case basis.
Sure.
I can think of a million reasons why you don't get the role, very little of which have to do with you, if that helps. And that's a concept that I didn't get until I worked in the room on the other side of things. There are so many deciding factors that go into why someone books the role, right? And if for nothing else, just consider how you got there, right? So an average submission, 300 to 500 people for one role, and then we tailor that down to 50, maybe 75, and then we bring back 5 for a callback, and then one person gets it. So like numerically, if you consider that's some insight into how you even got there, right, which is a big deal. And then how and why you booked it. Confidence, I think, is a big issue, or not a big issue, but a big part of it. Confidence, being confident, being aware, listening.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big thing, because I see it even in classes that I go to where the teacher will say, all right, we'll try it this way, and then they do it the same way they did it the first time.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I'm sure you guys, sometimes you'll give direction just to see if they can take direction, not that the first time was bad.
Absolutely. And I think some people get confused by that. Like, you'll get a redirect, and it's not that we're testing you. It's just, well, let's see if this works. Let's try this. Or we're privy to knowledge that we couldn't release, due to non-disclosure. And so we're trying to actually work with fake sides that have nothing to do with what your scene actually is, or working with an emotion that you wouldn't naturally read in the sides that we have, but that's what's been provided. So we will kind of redirect in a way that says, let's try it this way, or let's do this. And so sometimes it's not so much that your instinct was wrong, it's just that we want to try something else, or we're having a great time and you're doing a great job and we just want to have a little fun and try something else. So don't ever think that an edit or a redirect is like, oh, stinking up here, and now they're trying to make me better. And if that is the case, then awesome. They want to keep working with you to make you better. But more often than not, it's just you're doing a great job. We're going to try some different things. I do think that we, and I've been guilty of this in the past as well, take it personally. And this is like a catchy little phrase, but it's so true. Casting is selection, not rejection. So it's not that like all these people did it wrong, but we did select this person. And that happens for a number of reasons. It may be, I don't know. I see dozens of great people auditioning, but the role can only go to one person. But oftentimes that's why we'll throw you a bone and be like, hey, can you also read for this? Hey, can you also read for this? We'll write down your name and consider you for the next project. Sure. Like, there are people that I know that give stellar auditions, and it took years before we could book them in something because the stars just didn't line up. Yeah, and it's like you said, there's a million reasons why. It could even be just the other people that got cast, and you don't match in that vision of. God forbid we're trying to create a family. Yeah. And you've just got the wrong hair color or eye color, or you're too tall or too old or and too actors short. Say, well, I can change that. But it's hard to see that, especially when somebody has already done a great performance and they already fit that. So I can see all of that. Right. Well, one thing I do want to bring up your company now that you're doing, and then we'll talk about some roles that you have. But one thing I've noticed about you, and I wanted to ask about, because a lot of my friends and people are in a similar situation, but you have an amazing husband, Jeff, who I've met. I do. And 2 awesome kids who I've met a couple times. They were a little shyer, but I see videos and they look like really. They're crazy. They're just slow to warm up. But what I wanted to ask you is, how do you guys balance all of that? Because you're not only, Jeff's working obviously, and you have the 2 kids, and then as well as you doing not only a business but also being an actress that has crazy hours, and your business is related around acting. Right. So how does all that work? That's a good question. And I think that's probably a struggle for a lot of people, especially, and I'm not making this a sexist thing, but especially for moms. I think there are a handful of moms that I'm close to in this business. There are tons of moms. There are a handful of moms that I'm close to in this business, and we talk about that. We talk about the sacrifices that we make, both for our career and both for our family. I married into my children, and they're amazing. They were very, very small when I married into them. But I feel so blessed to mother them, and my husband is a very hands-on, supportive role. He's definitely the leader of our family, And we're, if I can be so bold as to say, I mean, we're a faith-based family, so we're a faith-driven, God first. And so with that, I think we've made some decisions that are probably pretty non-traditional, especially in this career path and in this environment and industry. So, for example, everyone thought, that the owner of Chick-fil-A was crazy when he decided to not be open for business on Sunday, but he observed a Sabbath. And we as a family decided that that was also important for our family. And so I observe a Sabbath, my husband observes a Sabbath, and so on Saturdays we don't work. We don't create, we don't produce. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's a Saturday. Like, how can you take a Saturday off? Everyone else has Saturday off, so they want to work, they want to film, they want to tape, they want to coach, they want to... And I feel like it's a sacrifice that I've made for my business that is being honored because I've chosen to make it important. And same thing with our family. On Thursday nights tonight, my husband has worship practice. He plays drums at our church, and so I know that I have to wrap up shop and be home by 5:30 because I gotta catch the kids. We gotta do homework. We gotta do dinner. We gotta bathe, and then Daddy comes home. We do, family game night and prayers, and then they go to bed. So that's. I just know Thursday night I'm shutting it down by 5:30. That's just a sacrifice that I made for family. There have been rare occasions when I've gone back out after my kids go to bed, especially in the beginning of my business when I was like, I got to take every appointment that's available. Mama's got bills to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be here.
Does anybody know I'm out here? I'm doing this.
I'd be here in an office and I hear noise. I'm like, is that a ghost? And then I see Candi like with a client walking out at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock at night, And for some people too, because they have a business or they have kids, and it's like that's when it works. The kids are in bed, and luckily I have a husband who's at home with them, keeping them safe while I'm out working. But in August my business will be 2 years old, so we've been able to sort of tailor that down a little bit in terms of that craziness and make a better rounded schedule. So it's something that I struggle with, if I'm being completely honest, because I love to work, and I'm so inspired by collaborating with people, and so I love what I do. I think any business owner probably feels that way, that, it's up to me to make it work, but not at the expense of my children or my husband.
Right.
And so if there's any situation that I'm sort of like, ooh, I don't know, I just take it to my husband and we talk about it. I run it through him, and we decide what looks best for our family.
Awesome. I love that. And I love how you guys all work together. I just have noticed that from afar, and I respect that. So I wanted to tell you. So I'm going to reset my camera in just a second, but if you're just tuning in, I'm here with Candi Brooks Silvestri, actress and creative director of Brave Arrow Productions, which we'll talk about in a moment. If you have any questions about auditioning or working with Candi on taping your auditions, things like that, we'll get to that in a second. Let me go reset my camera. So it's like a 2-second thing.
2 seconds. Take a sip of water. Boom.
And we're back. That was fast, huh? So,
crazy fast. Like, you almost didn't even have to announce it.
I wish
it was
I had
like,
a remote.
bing.
I really I need to invest in just a little boop boop or get a
Somebody
different
watching
camera.
knows about that technology. Do the research. Send it to Jason.
I know there is out there somewhere.
It's out there, I'm sure.
So tell me about Brave Arrow, and because you said it's 2 years old now.
Yeah,
so
in August we'll be 2.
Yeah, and I was at the 1 year birthday party.
And you were there early and you helped me set up, and you were a godsend.
Well, tell us about what it is for those actors and actresses that don't know, and then kind of what you do on a daily basis with that business.
Yeah, sure. So it's so essentially what I did. I took all my favorite things about my job in casting and created a business. And I'm ironically right next door to Liz Coulon, who is, like I said earlier, my best friend, and we still work together creatively. We're always bouncing ideas off each other. And she was incredible when I came to her and said, I think it's time for me to make a change. And she 100% celebrated me all the way out the door. She was a huge piece in my success and moving out of casting, retiring as we called it. I'm very young. I'm far too young to retire, but that's what we called it. And so when I retired from casting and moved into my business, she, we sent out an email to all the agents that we worked with and basically just let them know what's happening with me and also what's happening with Coulon Casting. At that time, Amelia was stepping in as well, and she's
She's
gem.
awesome. Yeah.
She's incredible, and that also helped me with my transition because I knew that I was leaving my position in good hands, and that Liz was going to be okay. Because when you work that closely with someone for that long, we were together for about 7 years. You're really invested. I mean, it's a marriage of sorts, and so it wasn't just like, oh, I'm leaving a job. But there were things that were entailed in the job that I wanted to make sure were going to be covered and handled, and Amelia's killing it like gangbusters.
Yeah.
I mean, she's awesome. She's incredible, and she's one of the smartest people I know. And so Liz is in good hands, and Amelia's in good hands. So I feel confident there. But my business, so I took all my favorite things. So essentially, I am coaching and taping primarily actors. So we're collaborating with one actor at a time. So whereas I used to spend 8 hours a day in a session for a film, and we were just like 2 people every 5 minutes or 1 person every 8 minutes, something like that, depending on how large the scene was. Now I get to see a bunch of different scenes throughout the day if I'm so lucky. I try to. My goal when I set the company up was to see 10 people a week. So average around 2 people a day, 2 or 3 people a day was my goal, and it's just been incredible. I mean, this business, for anyone who's in this business knows, it's feast or famine. So there are days when I'm like, how am I going to get it all done? And then there are days where I'm like, does anybody know I'm still here? Hey, y'all. But it's been so exciting. I get to work with really experienced legends that I learn from and are so amazing. I have a handful of clients that come in from LA that were here working on films, and so these are some well-known actors that I'm just like, what a treat. Like, you're paying me, what a treat, because I get to learn so much working with them. And then I get to work with brand new actors, kids and adults who are just like, this is my first audition, I don't know what I'm doing. Or, one-on-one training to prepare for a live audition.
Yeah.
Or to just, they're in a class and they want some help with their scene so that when they go back to perform their scene. I have a handful of students who are moving on to college, which is exciting. And so I got to help them get into some of their top schools.
That's cool.
Based on their audition performances. Having a degree in musical theater helped because they were both musical theater students at NOCA as well. So it was 3 of them. So getting those guys and gals prepped for college, like, what an exciting time. I do career consultation as well, which I think most people are like, oh, what is that? And essentially it's advice. I find that I have those types of appointments more with moms than other clients. But essentially it's just talking candidly about the process of attaining an agent, talking about, me giving them referrals for headshot photographers, me giving them, instructions on their Actors Access page and cover letters for agents and anything. A lot of my clients reach out to me and just want to know, like, what should I wear? Like, I get that question all the time, what should I wear? And I think it's something that I just take for granted, but especially when you're newer in the business. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is for me, and again, this is a faith thing, but I felt like God was asking me to be for other people what I didn't have. So there was definitely a time in my life where I kept my cards very close to my chest, just very tight fist about everything, and I was like, I figured it out, you can figure it out, and I moved here knowing no one, which was the truth. I moved here knowing no one, and I found classes, and I did auditions, and I got headshots, and this, that, and the other. And then I don't know, something changed for me when I realized that, like, you can't ever receive more with a closed fist.
Interesting. Yeah.
You have to open your fist to receive. And so I thought to myself, like, wow, I've got a lot of knowledge, and I've made a lot of mistakes that people could value to, benefit from not making the same mistakes. But I got to give some of that away before I can receive more. And when I changed my brain in that regard, and that's sort of the brainchild of my business as well, things changed. Things totally changed. And so now And it's not to say that I lived a bad life before that, but boy, do I live an amazing life now. So much better. And I'm constantly receiving. So I definitely think that's my greatest joy of my business is being able to create my schedule, being able to focus on all the things that I find are important. Because same thing with my career, I can close down my business to be on set or to go to an audition or to go to a callback or whatever it is. And I love helping other people with their career. Like, so exciting. This is so cheesy, right? I have a folder saved on my Dropbox, and it's just filled with warm fuzzies. It's like emails, and text messages, and pictures of my clients just thanking me for the impact I've had on their life and their career, and how excited they are about a great audition or something that they booked, or I mean, just like super, super cool stuff. Just people reaching out to me and saying thank you in a great way. And so I keep all that because it's nice to go back and revisit and be like, I'm doing good stuff.
I love that. And I do see, although you help, as you mentioned, people from all ages and all experience levels, but I see a lot of parents bringing their children to you, which I think is a big asset, because a lot of these busy parents, their child wants to be an actor, but maybe they aren't actors and don't know the business, and they have their own stuff going on. So bringing them also, tell me your opinion on this, but I've seen parents that try to do auditions for their children, and the relationship is different. It's not, the child doesn't see it as time to work at home, but when they come here, do you feel they're more prepared, or like it's a different experience?
Yeah, a lot of moms and dads are great coaches in a sense of, like making sure their kids are off book and just like working through the scenes, having hard conversations about topic or language, because I see that more and more lately. There are kids, cursing and approaching topics that are, maybe taboo or above their age range. So I love that parents have their hand in it when those sorts of things come on, because, I've found myself in situations where I was like, let me talk to your mommy real quick, and just like, okay, so like, what do they understand? Like, for example, there's a scene where a little boy is being molested, and I was like, I need to know where you guys are at on that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to be the guy that's like,
let me tell
you what's going on in the scene here, So I have to have those hard conversations, but it's great when parents are involved, because more often than not, they have those hard conversations, right? And then we all kind of get on the same page about it. I will say this, though, hands down, and I've watched countless hours of taped auditions before I even opened my business, just in casting, receiving taped auditions. And I saw a good friend of mine who also was a client until she moved to LA, recently posted on Facebook, and she was like, do yourself a solid and invest in a reader. Pay for a reader. Pay an actor, or get an actor friend who wants to scratch your back, that sort of thing, because it makes a big difference. It makes a very big difference. My husband is an incredible person, an amazing husband, father. I mean, like, he's top notch. He's not an actor. He's not. And he knows that, and I know that. And there have been times where, like, I was in a bind and I was like, babe, can you just read this for me? And then we look back on those tapes and I'm like, well, it was a good experience.
I learned a lot.
Thanks for everything. And he knows that, like, he knows he's not an actor, and he doesn't, he has no desire to be anywhere near this industry, other than supporting me and our friends who also do this, so I think it makes a big difference. Now, if you're in a position where financially you can't afford a coach or afford a taping service, we understand that. But there are a few little tips and tricks that you can do to help make a home tape better. And some of that comes with your breakdown and your taping guidelines, but always, always, always a solid background, because no one wants to look at the library behind you or your cat crossing frame, right? Like, super funny, but it does happen. It really happens. This stuff really happens. Terrible artwork behind you. Like, it's so distracting. So obviously a solid color background of any kind, preferably not white, because it's going to attract all the light.
Do you find brighter is better than dark, like black or something?
It's funny. I love dark colors, but a dark background like black is also going to suck all the light. Like, it's going to be hard to light a person on a black background is what I'm trying to say. So gray, blue, sometimes even a green is nice. But those are pretty much industry standard. And also, I mean, like, you can go to maybe not the Dollar Tree, but Walmart or Target or something like that and get a sheet, like a fitted sheet that you can just like tack onto the wall. If it's a nice tight frame, you can do poster board, you know, something that is just solid and doesn't say like, hey, check out our brand new LSU poster in the background. Yeah. Oh, gross. So I just rolled my eyes on camera. Sorry about that.
Do not say anything about LSU.
Half of everyone watching just disappeared.
Me too.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
I'm not from here, so I'm not hip on all that.
Well, it was a great interview.
Thanks for everything. All right.
Okay, so we got the background stuff, and we talked about working with children. I want to shift over to some things that you're working on, and then we'll wrap up. And we have a lot of great questions, so I'll get to those in a second. So keep chatting those in. If you have questions for Candi, I'm going to run through all of them in a minute. But you are currently... you've been a recurring character on NCIS, which we have a shared credit on. But so you play a reporter on several of those episodes.
Yeah, I do,
That's
which is
cool.
really neat. And I told them the last episode that I had, I was like, you know, a lot of stuff goes down on this show. Like, somebody's always getting shot or running from being shot. So anytime you guys,
I think maybe they'll
report.
They'll shift into giving you like your own 30-minute talk show on NCIS.
That's
New
what
Orleans.
we're looking for. Yeah, a little spinoff, a little, you know, something. But no, that's a great show. Super professional, super big production.
Well run, like it's a machine.
It's crazy.
But it's a machine, but also very. Everyone is very friendly and nice. It's not like you feel like you're a cog in the wheel.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's moving so fast, it's like hard to grasp what's going on. But
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Like, it's rarely a show. You know, we always have that joke about hurry up and wait in this industry. And every time I've worked with them, it's like I get out there, I go through the works, I have something to eat, I bang out my scene, and then I'm done. And I'm like,
you guys want me to stick around?
You guys, okay, well, we did that. Like, it's like they're on it.
Yeah.
They're on it. But I think, too, just the turnover, it's television, and, you know, they're shooting while airing.
Yep.
So they can't take too much time. They gotta, you know, it's not like we have 2 years till this comes out. Like,
right.
We got about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Gotta make it work.
And then you also, although we can't talk about it much, but you are now going to be a recurring character on an AMC show.
I am.
So be looking for that. She'll be able to post about it when she can, but that's really exciting. So
yes, it's incredible. It's an amazing show. It's an amazing team. Some of my dearest friends, like I said, I've been working with 10 and 11 years, who I get to see, you know, making my hair look good and makeup look good. And then one of my dear friends, another actor in town that I've known 11 years, Sam Medina, and we've never once worked on anything together. And ding, ding, ding. Now we're in every scene together.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's a full circle moment. It's just really neat for both of us. And it's definitely unlike any character that I've ever had, which is exciting to be pushed and stretched in a different way. And it's, when I got the role, I had no idea how many times I'd be recurring. There was like a rumor that it was recurring, but I had no idea, you know. And so I booked it, and we did the first episode with an incredible director who I wish so much I could say who it is, because he has amazing credits under his belt. And then I was like, wow, that was like a game changer. That was a lifetime experience, that show. And then as we're leaving, they're like, all right, well, we'll see you back on episode so-and-so. And I was like, I'm coming back? Yes! And so we worked with another director and another writer. It's a team of people, and they're all brilliant. And worked with another director, and she's phenomenal. She also has major credits. And both of the writers on both of these episodes are just, I mean, like, I'm drooling at this opportunity. And so wrapped that one up, and I was like, man, how does it get any better than this? And I encourage you to ask that. How does it get any better than this? Because that's opening up your hand for more. makeup trailer, getting all my stuff, taken care of before I'm leaving. All right, we'll see you back in episode so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I was like, snap! So as it stands right now, 3 episodes, which we haven't shot our 3rd episode yet. So who knows? Might be more.
Awesome.
But
yeah.
I'm so grateful. It's an incredible opportunity, and it's an amazing show.
Yeah, I can't wait to be able to tell everyone, or you be able to tell everyone about it. Let's jam through some of the comments that we've gotten. Let's see. Camille says superstar.
Hello.
Let's see.
Is that Camille Landry?
Yep.
She's a doll. Love her.
Jessica Davis says, you're such an inspiration, Candi. Such a hardworking woman pursuing living your dreams and being an amazing wife, mom, and friend.
Oh, I love that.
Carrie LeBlanc says, hi, Miss Candi. It's Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
Let's see. Michael Howell says, sometimes you see me 10 times a week. That's one of your regular.
He is. He's coming in today, as a matter of fact. That guy auditions more than anybody I know. He's killing it.
He says, again, tape all your auditions with Candi. Amazing to work with. Feel like you're taking an acting class. See you in a few minutes. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, when I get down here, we have a session.
Cool. Awesome. And if I missed any of them, I see a bunch of just like praise for you.
Oh,
everybody's
guys,
saying how
thank
awesome
you
are. So, cool. Well,
that's so cool.
As we wrap up, first of all, thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. I've been so excited to come do this.
Awesome. And how can people, if they either want to just follow you and see your acting stuff, or work with you on at Brave Arrow, how do they find out about it?
Oh, yeah. So a couple of the easiest ways are probably social media. So on Instagram, we are brave_arrow_productions. And that's where I sort of just celebrate all the actors that I'm working with. I try to put out, a handful of posts daily. Just these are screenshots pulled from audition files, audition videos, and I'm very conscious of not releasing any information as to what they're auditioning for, but just sort of celebrating the wins and just talking about. I'm just so grateful for everyone I get to work with. So we do that a couple times. You can reach me there on the actual Instagram. There's also a Facebook page, same thing, Brave Arrow Productions, and then a website, bravearrowproductions.com. My telephone number is listed on all of them. My email address is listed on all of them. And then stuff for me specifically, I do very little of my information on Brave Arrow because I want to use those sites to tout the talent that I'm so blessed to work with. I did advertise this today on there in hopes that some of my clients would watch.
Yeah.
But I don't make that site about me, but I do have my own Instagram and my own Facebook, and that's Candi Brooks Silvestri. That's S-I-L. Everyone gets that wrong. But Candi Brooks Silvestri, and that's where you can see my personal acting stuff, as well as, my annoying pictures of my amazing kids, and I got a cute dog. Yeah. It's really cute. So, I post a lot of adorable, annoying stuff. But that's where it's at if you want it.
Awesome.
I have a Twitter. I never use it. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I'm slow on the Twitter, too.
I need a social media person who wants to work something out, because I have a social media guy. He's fantastic, Hunter McHugh. He helps me, compile the images. But I need somebody with more time on their hands, because I need somebody to go, interact. To like stuff and comment on stuff and follow people and get people to follow me back, because my Instagram is pretty naturally, organically got a little better than 700 followers on it for Brave Arrow, but there's no reason we shouldn't be doing double that.
I agree. Well, follow Candi, follow Brave Arrow, and share this stream. This will be out on iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube and all kinds of other places very soon. And I appreciate you guys watching. I'll be back again next week with some amazing guests. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.